Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Education Platform. Now, before we begin with today's lesson, we're going to be reading you a verse which is taken from Genesis. We're going to be reading you a verse which is taken from Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, when God created the world. And it states that, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God said, and God saw the day and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament of the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God, which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day." Now, our first lesson is about using the box method. Now, when using the box method, you use the box method when solving an equation, as it's shown what the box method looks like. Okay, in the equation, you always start with the first number, then put it in the box. Then the last number goes on the bottom right corner of it. So just for example, 3x plus 5x minus 7. 3x is the first number that goes in the box. 7, negative 7, is the last number that goes in the box. Now next, our second lesson is about the ape life cycle. Now, the ape life cycle starts in order. It starts from newborn,
Toddler,
adult,
and mating.
Yeah, the ape life cycle starts all the way from newborn all the way to mating. Now our next lesson is about the Iron Curtain. Now, the Iron Curtain was the separation between the countries that involved between
Communism and democracy.
Yeah, the Iron Curtain separated both those two countries. Those two countries were going to war to see if communism or democracy would spread amongst themselves. Seeing in this political cartoon, it shows the communist logo, the Iron Curtain, and it shows the people on the other side of the Iron Curtain, which represents communism and democracy. Now our next lesson is about declarative, imperative, interrogative, and exclamatory statements. Now, a declarative statement is a sentence that makes a statement. So, an imperative statement is when you give a command or request. Now, an example is, "Mandy, Bob, do your homework." That is the command given. Next, interrogative.
An interrogative statement is when you ask a question.
For example, as it's shown,
"Mr. Hart, can I use the bathroom?"
that is the question being asked. Now, exclamatory. An exclamatory statement is a sentence that shows strong feeling. Our next lesson is about baseball. What we know about baseball: baseball is the kind of sport where you hit the ball with the bat to get a home run in a game. Oh yeah. Okay. You must bat the ball and run to the bases all around the court to get a home run. Next is graphing. Okay, when you're graphing, you always have to graph the order pairs from the x-intercept to the y-intercept. As shown, -5 is in the x-axis, and +8 is at the y-axis. Now, drawing a dot by at -5 to +8, then you draw a line to them, which seriously corrects the graph into making sure that those points, also known as the order pairs, are graphed. Next is about coding, in which Derek will tell you about coding.
Alright.
You know what I mean?
Alright, everyone. Alright, I'll explain to you what coding is about. Okay. Coding is when you are programming something or making it into a functional app that you can use on a certain operating system. Some apps have capabilities on some operating systems and some don't. We will get into operating systems in another video.
Also, to be able to code, you need a device. Well, for a device like a laptop.
Well, you necessarily don't need a device. You need to debug the code and test it out. You need to have a device.
Our next lesson is about the hottest and coldest planet in the solar system. Now, the hottest planet in our solar system is Mercury. Mercury is the hottest planet in our solar system because
it's the closest to the sun in the Milky Way.
Now, the coldest planet is Neptune. Neptune is the coldest planet in our solar system because it's the very farthest from the sun, in which Neptune has 2 moons, Triton and Neso. Neptune is also called the gas giant or an ice giant because there's no surface on Neptune, just gas and ice. For many scientists, they believe Neptune is called a gas giant rather than an ice giant. But scientists are still doing research on that, and they will find an answer to whether or not Neptune is a gas or ice giant. Next is the Reconstruction Plan. Now, the Reconstruction Plan was developed by President Johnson to help African Americans to gain the rights and freedom after the Civil War. Yeah, this chart shows the plans by President Johnson, President Lincoln, and the Radical Republicans. Now, President Johnson's plan was for Southerners for pardoned and when they're pledged to allegiance to Union. Also, states could write new constitutions without Lincoln. About 10% of people voted on that. Next, President Lincoln's plan. President Lincoln's plan was involved by bringing the South back to the Union quickly and to oppose harsh punishments. 10% of the voters voted on that plan. And also the Amnesty Pledge. Radical Republicans plan. It promoted equal rights for freed African Americans, the military occupation of the South to oversee changes, and it required voting for African American males. Now, our next lesson is about imaginary numbers. Now, what we know about imaginary numbers is that they're the ratio being surrounded by a mysterious obscurity. It is to be attributed to a largely and ill-adapted notation. Now, the imaginary numbers chart. Now, I to the power of 0 squared is equal to just I. Next, I to the power of 1 equals I squared equals 1, I third equals negative I, and I fourth equals positive 1. Now, for an example, 5I plus 2I. It's the same as adding them together, but you always need to add the I at the end of it. Now, 5 plus 2 equals to 7, but make sure you always add the I for the imaginary number. 5 plus 5I plus 2I equals 7I. Now, our final lesson is about the differences of squares. The formula for differences of squares are a squared minus b squared equals parentheses a plus b parentheses a minus b. Now, the list for differences of squares are 1 squared equals 1, 2 squared equals 4, 3 squared equals 9, 4 squared equals 16, 5 squared equals 25, 6 squared equals 36, and so on.
7 squared equals 49. 8 squared equals 64. 9 squared equals 81. 10 squared equals 10 squared. 100. 10 squares equals 100. 11 squares equals 121. 12 squares equals 120.
Now that's all for today. Now before we go, here's some stuff you need to know. If you want to learn more, go to our website, educationplatform.carrot.co, and click the Learn More button to learn more. Also, we're going to be uploading our videos every week, so you can get a better experience of Education Platform. For those who are new, you are welcome to join us anytime on our stream. Also, make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. And
like, share, and follow us on Facebook, as well as all our other platforms.
Now, next week, we're going to be discussing new lessons that are based on mathematics, science, and reading. Now, I hope you all have a wonderful day.